Sonia goes to her husband's office, Henry, who works for Minos, a company that designs escape rooms to put people in. After having endured an unhappy marriage, she threatens to divorce him and take their daughter, Claire, with her. Henry gets mad, but pleads for Sonia to take a breather so they can talk about it after he finishes work. Taking his advice, Sonia goes for a quick swim to clear her head, but when she heads to the sauna room, she finds herself in an escape room of her own. The sauna room suddenly locks her inside, and the temperature rises every few seconds. Although filled with panic, assuming that it's her husband's doing, Sonia tries to solve her way out of the room. Eventually, she solves the riddle on the glass door and finds a magnet hidden inside one of the lava rocks. She tries to open the bars slowly, but eventually, her lungs give out and she dies inside the sauna. Meanwhile, Zoe and her best friend and fellow survivor, Ben, get ready to board a flight following the coordinates to one of Minos' headquarters, but at the last minute, Zoe gets a panic attack and backs out. So, as an alternative, Ben rents them a car to drive to New York. After arriving at the coordinates, they find a desolate building within an alley. Although there aren't any signs of the headquarters, Zoe urges Ben to look around the place, convinced that she's right. Unfortunately, they encounter a thug that steals Zoe's necklace. They chase the thug down the streets and into a subway station where they're lured inside a train car, the doors closing as the thug escapes, leaving them stuck inside. With all hope seemingly lost, the two plan to go to the next station and return to the building. But slowly, Ben and Zoe start to notice something strange about the train car. So they check the conductor's station and find nobody inside. Soon enough, their car gets uncoupled from the rest of the train and redirected to a remote station. The train stops at a dead end, throwing them all over the car, yet they're still trapped inside. Alongside 4 other strangers, they find out that they're thrown into a series of escape rooms orchestrated by Minos. But this time, all the people are previous survivors, a tournament of champions. Meanwhile, Brianna finds a trapdoor, but it's locked. Realizing the stakes, they all start playing the game by the rules. To escape, they must find coins for the conductor's machine. The train gets electrified. A strong shock throws Theo off his balance, making him accidentally grab onto a metal pole. Rachel slams him away from the conductor, yet it is too late as she announces that he's dead. Zoe ends up solving the phrase on her own, which successfully opens the trapdoor exit. They all quickly jump down as the train car gets engulfed by electric currents, and they find themselves inside an elevator. They see a meticulously built bank in the next room. They then find a vault entrance on the opposite side of the room, so the group starts to work together to find a way out of the room without triggering the lasers. Meanwhile, Zoe notices another oddity in the room, specifically with a box labeled Sonia, wondering who she is. Soon enough, they start to find the answers that'll lead them to the correct path across the tiles, so Nate offers to test out the route and make a trail of lollipops for the group to follow. Unfortunately, he finds himself lost on the next step, so he starts to guess the following tile despite the group's protests. But one wrong tile triggers the laser once more, knocking Nate down and making him hit his head on the counter. Brianna and Rachel lift Nate off the tiles. The others figure out the remaining clues and soon find out the rest of the path. Zoe tells the group to go first so she can guide them. However, somebody needs to carry Nate, so Ben goes ahead alongside Brianna and Rachel, who leave the rest of the lollipop trail for Zoe. After successfully figuring out the path, Zoe manages to make a narrow escape as she runs towards the closing vault exit, finding themselves inside a small cave. A few seconds later, the cave starts to collapse, so the group rushes out and ends up on a beach. Right away, they work on figuring out how to escape. They use a metal detector to find an anchor that they need to progress, but the escape room's trap activates when they pull it out of the sand, and Rachel sinks into it. Nate risks his life to help by tying a rope around his body and diving down into the sand to lift Rachel. Unfortunately, although Rachel manages to set herself free, the rope snaps before they can pull Nate back to the surface. Rachel wants to go back and save Nate, but it's too late, so the group quickly opens the beach shack using the anchor and pulls her inside, where they find the exit inside a refrigerator that's missing its plug. Another puzzle piece gets activated at the lighthouse, so Zoe goes outside the shack to climb it. She then relays the information to Ben, who successfully finds the missing plug and brings it back to the shack, where they successfully open the exit door. Meanwhile, Zoe ends up finding an alternative route. The group ends up arguing, unsure which exit to take. Rachel then goes with Zoe while Ben stays behind to convince Brianna to come with them. But with their time running out, Ben hurries along to the lighthouse, leaving Brianna in the shack. When she finally decides to come with the group, the shack traps her inside, leaving her no choice but to go through the actual exit while Zoe, Rachel, and Ben go for the alternative escape route. However, Ben falls to the sand when a ladder piece breaks off and does not make it out. Zoe and Rachel continue out the vents and into a sewer system. Later on, the two start to hear street noises, so they happily follow a ladder back into the city streets. However, their joy is cut short when they see a panicking Brianna running towards them. As it turns out, they're still inside the game. Brianna catches them up on the current situation, saying that it rains acid whenever the timer runs out and that they need to find keys to a bodega. With not enough clues to progress, Zoe steps off the booth to look for the next piece of the puzzle, but the timer runs out on her. Fortunately, Rachel throws her an umbrella just in time before the acid falls. A taxi door opens, giving Zoe a safe shelter from the acid. When the rain stops, Brianna and Rachel run to the cab, but the door suddenly closes. The acid rain kills them. Meanwhile, the backseat transports Zoe outside of Claire's prison. Back at Minos headquarters, one of the employees notices a malfunction in a transition chute, and they fail to send Zoe to the final room, which is in the exact likeness where Henry's wife died. As it turns out, Henry doesn't know about that room and figures out that Claire has breached them, but it's too late to stop the game as the show must keep going. In Claire's room, Zoe picks up the pieces and realizes that Claire has been the central theme of the escape rooms, with all the clues symbolizing her life. Zoe shouts at her and calls her a murderer, but Claire tries to gain Zoe's trust by showing her that she actually saved Ben, having built an extractor tank beneath the sands on the beach. However, as Claire shows Zoe Ben's footage, they see him getting caught by Henry's men and putting him in the final escape room, the sauna. To save Ben, Zoe ends up working with Claire. Claire mentions how Henry always told her that she'll never be able to solve the puzzle on her own and that she has 2 chances left before the oxygen gets sucked from her prison. While the two solve the puzzle, Ben tries to solve his way out of the sauna room but isn't having any luck figuring it out. Soon enough, Claire cracks the code with Zoe's help and gets herself out of the cell. Unfortunately, Henry arrives just in time, cornering them with a gun. However, Claire's companion shoots Henry with his own firearm, giving Claire the opening to push him inside the cell and lock him in. With Henry detained, Claire and Zoe run to his computer to override the escape room and save Ben. After disabling the room, Claire gives Zoe keys to Henry's car, telling her that she got the coordinates right for the headquarters. Claire reveals that she's locked the employees in their offices and that she'll call the police once she gets far away from there. Zoe then drives to the site and finds police and paramedics on the scene. She rushes in, screaming for Ben, and finds him being taken inside an ambulance alive. He hands Zoe her mother's necklace, telling her that someone gave it to him. Zoe takes it as a sign of appreciation now that the games are finally over. Moments later, Claire goes back to talk to Henry, detailing how she realized that Sonia was starting to lose love for her because of who she was. It is then revealed that Claire was the one who killed Sonia in the sauna room, wanting to be acknowledged by Henry for her intelligence. However, she wasn't satisfied with how Henry didn't give her credit for all the rooms she made for him. So in the end, Claire enters the wrong numbers on her puzzle's code and removes the oxygen from Henry's cell as she tells him that they'll be proud of her for what she can really do. Here the movie ends. Thanks for watching the video. Please hit the subscribe button for more updates from us.